First slide.
Okay, we are recording. So welcome to Ask or Not to Ask. That is the question. Hey, Alex.
Okay. So the premise of this is to build off of what we started with a few weeks ago. And we're really started talking about asking the right questions and adding in observation. Okay. I think it's key whether your observation of the sale is going well or not going well through the process. Sometimes I think we're very geared into asking questions and doing what we do, and we observe at the end, and our observations are limited to after we're asking the questions as opposed to during. So I want to make everybody critically aware that we need to stop the process when we feel that either we're getting pushback or the people aren't engaged or they're losing interest or they're giving you non-buying signs, statements that they're making, things like, how long is this going to take? I'm not fully prepared for this. You know, I didn't know we were going to do all of these things today. These are all non-buying signs. Things like, yeah, that's why I'm with you today. You know, we've been meaning to get this done. I'm really happy we're doing this. What's the next step to moving forward? Those are all buying signs. Those are all verbal signs, buying and non-buying signs. We have to also observe non-verbal signs. Are people looking at their watch? Are they engaged in taking other phone calls or emails? Are they, their hands folded and they're not engaging with you as you're asking questions? They don't seem to be present. Those are non-verbal, non-buying signs. Are they leaning into the conversation? Are they putting their phone on mute? Are they, you know, engaged in your conversation? Do they seem interested in what you're talking about? Are they giving you the information without pulling teeth? Those are nonverbal buying signs. So want you to be engaged in that. Next. I always tell people, and I think I used this language in the last presentation, that analogies work. And my analogy often to clients is, think of me as the art teacher. This is your painting. This isn't my painting. I'm going to help you paint it, but you have to be proud enough to hang it on your wall. I marry that up with, this is your presentation. So it's the same conversation. This is about you. I'm here for you. I'm here to give you the most value in this 45 minutes or an hour or whatever we've put together. It's important that you verbalize that, one of those things, because the more that's about them, the more telling they will be about whether they're engaged. If you are throwing a whole party for someone and they're not interested in being in a party, they're going to say to you, whoa, 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 I don't want you to do all this work for this party that, quite frankly, I don't really care about, because they're going to feel a little guilty about it. So it's really important that you set the table in the very beginning, that this is all about you. This is for you. I'm like the art teacher. You're going to hang the painting. I need your input and feedback for this to come out in a way that you're going to really like. that's going to divide them up. That's going to get them to like, well, you know, I'm only here to get a little bit of information today. That would be a verbal non-buying sign. Or that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. They're going to get more engaged when they know it's for them and about them, right? Then you need to ask the right questions. So if you start there and you now feel like, wow, they're engaged and they're in the process, it's half the battle. Now you're going to ask the right questions, and you need to be flexible enough that if partway through this process, you've identified that it's going well, that they're engaged, that they're really interested in the conversation, and they're totally both verbally and non-verbally engaged, but things start to go another direction at some point. Generally, I usually link the two together. So if I've just presented something to them that has a commitment of $2,000 a month, and within seconds or minutes of that, I notice a change in the room, I'm going to link them together and think that what I just presented them wasn't or is a positive or wasn't a positive. Maybe I just pulled out an annuity product and they suddenly changed the way the room feels. I just could feel it. I'm engaged. I'm noticing, and I see a change in their posture, verbal or non. And I just pulled out an annuity. It's okay to stop right there and be flexible enough and ask the right question. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Client, this seemed to be going really well, and I just brought this product out, and I see, I just feel like there's a change in the demeanor. I feel like you're not as engaged. I feel as if this is something that seems to be a negative. Can we talk about it? Am I feeling right? Am I feeling things right, or am I off base? Most of the time, you're going to be on base. Your first feeling is the right feeling. And it's the time to adjust to it, not to skip it over and keep going and ignore the verbal and nonverbal signs. Got to be flexible enough to stop the conversation and get it back on track. Next. Right? So these are some common mistakes, right? We want to close our business the first time. The first time we do it, the first meeting we have, I want to have verbal and nonverbal commitments that are heading towards sales. I want to agree that we need it. Needs, desire, money. I want to give you the need. I want to get your desire, and I want a commitment of money at the very least. And that's how I know it's going well, right? You know, when you say, let me get, you know, when you say, okay, why don't you get back to me? Why don't you look this over? Why don't you review this with your spouse and get back to me? Why don't you see what you think and we'll talk about it in a week or two? You're weakening your sales position. You're basically saying, I don't really validate that what I thought was that important. I know that many of you may feel like I'm being too pushy if I try to close now and get their commitment, that it's rude, and it's less rude if I say to them, listen, just go home and review it with your client or your spouse or your daughter or whatever, and then get back to me. But it weakens your position entirely. What your validation that you're saying is, what I'm giving you isn't that important. You may be thinking what you're saying to them is, look, I'm showing you I'm not that hungry. I'm showing you that there's plenty of time, just go review it and we'll get back. But it's a bad sales technique. Okay? It requires you to set up another appointment. It requires you to get back to them and see where they feel. You're not there when they're discussing it. You're not there to open and ask questions. You're not there to answer questions. And you're also relying on a third party whispering down the lane. You're doing a presentation that may be difficult for your client to understand, and you're expecting your client to take what you told them and in a half hour, an hour, take that and verbatim bring it back to their spouse and share it with them. They're not gonna, and they're not gonna do it well. And they probably won't do it at all. And if they do it, it won't be right. And if you were there to listen, you'd be like, no, that's not what I said. Oh, no, that's not what I meant. And then if the other party says, well, okay, but what about this or what about that? There's no answer. There's no retort. Or maybe it's their answer. And you might be, if you were listening, be there. No, that's the wrong answer. Really weakens your sales position. You're much better off either adding the spouse to the existing call or meeting right off the bat, and that might be a question in the beginning. How are you the decision maker? Are you the one that's ultimately going to make this decision on this, or is this something that requires a family decision? And if so, do you want to dial your spouse in or have your spouse attend the meeting verbally or physically so that when we're there, they can ask good questions? See, if you don't say the reason why, they think you're being pushy. But if your reason why is, look, I want your spouse to be able to get good answers, good questions, because they're going to have them if they're part of the decision making or they are the decision making. Do we really want to whisper down the lane that usually never goes well? A real buyer is going to say, yeah, let me bring my spouse. Let me get my spouse on the call. Let me make sure that they're scheduled to come in. Very important. Keep going. So you ask if it addresses all their questions, right? You need to realize that if you do a really good job with needs, desire, and money, so you uncover the need, you explain the need and the reason why, and ask for their acceptance or denial of the need. That gets you the desire, right? So here's the 5 things I think you need. Here's the reason I think you need them. What do you think about that? That gives them an opportunity to quantify, well, out of those 5, 3 of them I think I need, or 2 of them, and not the others. That's not an opportunity to argue with them. That's the opportunity to grab the 2 or 3 things they agree they need and now get a commitment of money. Okay, we both agree you need these 2 things. Here's several ways we could pay for it. How do you want to pay for it? Once we've got that last piece, we've got a sale. You got the need, you got the desire, you got the money, right? So the way to get there, if you haven't done a good job on the fact find, is to back up to ask the questions whether the cost that you presented for solving the problem is in line with what they're thinking. Because the reason most people don't buy is either they weren't going to buy in the beginning, they were just tire kickers and had no intention of buying right in the beginning. They're just wasting your time. Maybe they're entertaining themselves, maybe they're educating themselves, maybe they're looking for someday down the road, or you've missed the boat, meaning they think they need A and you telling them they need B and they don't buy it. Or you've asked them to commit more money than they had budgeted for it. They thought it was going to be $100 and you told them it was going to be $1,000 and now they don't want to purchase. Those are the 3 reasons that will eliminate 95% of your missed sales. A, getting rid of the tire kickers or keeping them on a short leash because they're just checking it out. B, making sure that the needs and the desire are correct. And C, making sure that the amount of commitment of money, which I said last time, should not be more than 25% of their disposable monthly income. And you need to validate their disposable monthly income. When a person says their bills are $2,000 and I'm making 10 and they don't have lots of money left over, they're lying. They make less or they spend more or both. You need to be very, 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 very thorough on knowing what it costs them to live, all in. Food, gas, entertainment, partying, everything. And what's left over, you'll know, because the leftover is going to turn to savings. It's going to turn to real estate purchase. It's going to turn to investments. It's going to end up in a place where it's going to grow. If there's no money, they don't have money left over. And then you got to ask the question, I don't see the money. You tell me you got $8,000 a month left over, but I'm not seeing it. Unless they've got a good answer for it, the numbers are wrong. Next. So as I just said, you may be thinking that they're worried, that they're feeling you're too pushy, that they're feeling you're too confrontational, that they're feeling uncomfortable. So in our whole lives, we grow up to like, if it's not nice, don't say it, right? That's the problem with social media. Because they don't see you and they don't know who you are, you're free to say anything you want. You say, fuck you, I don't care if you die, pardon my French, because no one knows who you are. You're just some anonymous person out there. But you're in front of these people and you don't want to feel like that, okay? You need to get out of your own head. What feels uncomfortable to you may not feel uncomfortable to them. They're salespeople. What perceived by you as confrontational may not be perceived by them as confrontational. What you perceive as pushy may not be pushy by their standards. Most people push back when it's too pushy. Most people will confront back if it's confrontational. Most people will get uncomfortable when they feel uncomfortable. So you will know the gauge by how the room changes, okay? It's not confrontational to say, gee, these numbers aren't adding up for me. I'm here to, especially if you start the process with, hey, listen, Brad, I'm here to help you. This is all about you. This is your financial situation. I'm here to help you. I'm an assistant to you. Well, then what you ask is about helping them paint the best painting. Would you want to have an art instructor that was afraid to say to you, that doesn't look good? Green and purple and blue and pink don't go well together? Or gee, I'm not afraid to tell you to put a little more sky or white here? You wouldn't want that. You'd want that person saying to you, you know, here's what looks good. Here's what would be better. Here's what's going to make this perfect. You want to look at it at the end and go, wow, with your help, I was able to paint an awesome painting and I'm really proud of it. You wouldn't want them like looking at it and go, yeah, that looks great when it doesn't. Bringing it home and having your family look at it and go, geez, it doesn't look all that great to me. You know, let's put it in the basement. Okay, next. My mom used to say, ask anything of anyone. The worst they could say is no. And I've thought of that over and over and over again when I came into conflict. They're like, do I ask that person to dance? Do I ask that person to the prom? You know, do I ask that person to dinner? Do I ask that person for this job? How many times I came back to my mom going, worst they could go is no. And that's actually not that bad. Because if it's not no, you're left guessing. And don't you want to know? Yeah, I wanted to know because the guessing was worse. 99% of the time, the retort that I got back from people after I asked was a lot less painful than the fear of asking. Gotta ask, right? You need to know where you stand. You can deal with it. We can back up. If it's an annuity problem, we can eliminate it. If it's a fee problem, we can change it. If it's I missed the boat on the item, we can amend it, right? And make them a happy client. And at worst, we can know it's a no, and we're closer to a yes, so we can move on. Instead of having a whole pile. Every one of you guys or gals have a whole pile of open cases right now of which you are not sure. You're mentally guessing which one of them is going to close. We've all been there where we thought something was going to close and it didn't. We've all been there where we thought there's no way I'm getting this and it did. So get out of your way and ask the right questions. Deal with it. Next. Right? So I answered these earlier on, right? But awareness of everything around you. Make yourself aware. There are people, and awareness comes in lots of flavors. Start with self-aware. 90% or 80% of people are unself-aware. They're not aware of themselves. Other people tell you and you go, really? Am I like that? Oh, geez. How many times have you said to yourself, oh my God, this person keeps doing this over and over again in my family. I don't understand why they pick that same type of personality as a spouse or as a girlfriend or boyfriend, or why they keep going to the same job that they hate, or why they keep overbuying things on their credit cards they can't afford. It's because they're not self-aware. It need to build that awareness of how you look and accept it, awareness of who you are and what you do. Some of you are late. You're always 15 minutes late. You are late people. It's a self-awareness. You need to look in the mirror and go, I'm late and I need to do something about it. Or I'm late and I don't give a damn. And I'm going to tell people, I'll be late, but I don't really give a damn. Or you know what? I'm going to work around it and I'm going to fix it because I'm late. Be aware. If you're not aware of yourself, it's really hard to be attentive and aware of what people are doing around you. Go on to YouTube. Build awareness. They have help on there where you can build sight awareness. Go into a room, look around the room carefully, a room in your own house. Then close your eyes and describe everything on the wall, everything in the room, everything on the table, everything, where it is, without opening your eyes, and then open your eyes and check it out. You'll be surprised that you've been in the same room for 10 years and you're not aware of what's in there. You're not aware of what's on the wall. You're not aware of the color. You're not aware of the size. You're not aware of the shape. You're not aware of how many buttons, how many books. You're not aware of what's on the floor. Make yourself aware. It'll help you in your sales process. Next. Self-correct, right? You got to engage the individual and you need to be able to go back a step. Same thing we just said, right? Big pictures and details. They're two separate things, right? When I'm doing a sales presentation, I always start with big picture that gets me the interest forms. When I've got them one-on-one, I want to drill down past big picture into the details, but not the weeds. When you grow a plant, you're nurturing the top of the plant. You're not going underground into the roots, right? Unless you're a horticulturist. You're dealing with the surface. These people don't care if it's a SEP IRA, a defined benefit plan, a IRA, a Roth IRA. They care about what it does for them. They don't care about, all the rules around the retirement plan. They don't care about all the tax, exactly what they're paying in taxes. They care about reducing their taxes. That's big picture. They don't care how you do it. They care about retiring comfortably. They care about protecting their family. So talk about what it does for them, not getting into the weeds. If you're a detail guy and you want to get into the weeds, save it for your accountant buddies, your accountant friends, your engineering buddies. These people are anything but detail. Next. Right? You don't want to cut corners, because if you cut corners, you're going to go around in a circle. It's what I always tell people. When you feel disconnection, again, go back. Stop. Look at the last thing that I'm observing people the whole time I'm talking to them. I'm looking at their eyes. Are they looking at my eyes? What are they doing? What are they thinking? Are they breathing comfortably? Are they relaxed? Do they look uptight? Are they having fun? Are they engaged? Are they giving me vague answers? Are they pretending they like to be everywhere but with me or not? And I bring it back. Keep going.
Okay. So thanks, Alex. Do you want to ask for questions before we go to the action items? Are there any questions that anybody has? And if so, just shoot a question in the chat to me and then I'll unmute you. Are there any
So
questions, Alex, that you have for the team?
only thing I would say on these action items, just so when I get to the end and I don't get the right reaction, let's say I know somebody needs college funding. I proposed college funding. I'm sure it's affordable and they still haven't purchased. I'm going to go right to the straight line, which is we got together for college funding of two children that are 7. In another year or two, we pretty much lost the opportunity to college fund. And I proposed something that I believe is affordable and fixes the problem. Is there a reason today that you're not moving forward with this? What is keeping you from being engaged to get this done? It doesn't seem to me that there's a disconnect, but you're not giving me the thumbs up. What am I missing here? That's not pushy. That's a real, honest conversation between two parties that are trying to come together and are not together.
Yeah, great example. So I'd like to summarize. How do you practice this? So so this could be your action item. When you are experiencing a prospect or a client who, as Alex said, you observe there's a shift in their attention, or maybe they're withdrawing, or they're not looking at you the way they were because of maybe you brought up money or something. State the facts. Revisit the whole purpose for your meeting. We got together because of your interest in this discussion, and I've shared with you what your options are, but it looks to me like you're not necessarily ready to make a decision. What is your perspective? Can you share more? And then ask them to just share whatever they're feeling. And then you can get them re-engaged, and then hopefully go back to whatever it was that they had a question on, and then you can move forward together. Okay? That makes sense, Alex?
It does to me.
Looks like we have a question here. So this is from John Chapman. I like the idea of asking the agent if they want their spouse present. Are other advisors doing this? On one hand, I'm happy for any of the agents to want to sit down with me, and I don't want the possibility of their spouse joining as a reason to delay the first meeting, but maybe I am thinking of this backwards.
So I always offer it up, and it really depends on the individual. So one of the things I've told all of you guys is that when I have an interest form or a request for a one-on-one meeting, whether it's a Zoom or in-person meeting, pre-COVID or post-COVID, I always ask the question about who's controlling the sale. That's why I do that pre-5-minute, a day or 2 or 3 before we actually meet. I want to know their age. I want to know their income. I want to know what I'm bringing. I want to know why they checked the box for these 3 or 4 items. I want a little more information on that. I want to be able to ask a few questions so that when we get there, I'm already 3 steps ahead. And one of them is when I'm pre-qualifying, I'll call it pre-qualifying on the phone, I'm listening for who's controlling it. If I'm talking to Mary Jo and she's like, I don't know, my husband does that, or, I don't know, what exactly we make because my husband handles that, or that's my accountant, but I mean, I'm not really doing that. If I say, well, how much money do you have in that now? And they're like, I don't really know. I mean, then I'm going to ask the obvious question. I'm going to say, I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to say, Mary Jo, it seems to me like you ring the register, but this is an area that your spouse handles or your whatever handles the majority of that. Is that fair? Yeah, that's fair. Well, wouldn't you think there'd be more value in us meeting together, either through a Zoom or them present at that meeting, so that this becomes a more valuable exercise rather than me ask you questions that you're not sure about and getting wrong answers, and then we have to go back and forth. That's an opportunity to pre-qualify and get that on the table. And I've had many people go, you know, that's a great idea. Oh, he would love to do that, or she would love to do that. Or, no, I'm going to make this decision. This is really mine. I don't think it's a big deal, and I don't need him involved or her involved. And those are both answers you need to know. So in the pre-qual, I pre-qualify everyone. I never have seen anyone in years that I haven't spent 5 or 10 minutes on the phone with prior to the meeting. I already have their age. I already know why they checked the box. I already know what else I told them to bring with me. I already know what things I think what direction I'm gonna go in. I already know that before I meet with them. I never hold a cold meeting where it's just a waste of 45 minutes where we're suddenly just feeling each other out. I don't know why I would do that. It doesn't seem like a good use of the time. Why do they send you a questionnaire before you go to a doctor? They make you fill out a form, right? They know your meds, they know your history, they know why you're here today. They're not walking into the meeting totally cold, cold, cold. So that's what that pre-qual is. The pre-qual is 5 minutes on the phone so that you're not walking in cold, cold, cold. You're not walking in without the spouse that should be there. You're not walking in without certain information that is crucial for you to bring the right packages to the meeting. It also gives you time to get rid of the tire kicker. If the tire kicker just wanted to know a little bit about how the tax account works, but they have no intention of doing it for 6 months or a year because they're new in the business and this is the wrong time, then maybe you do that on 5 minutes on a pre-qual call and you say, listen, here's my name and number. I'll double back with you in 6 months. How's that work with you? Oh, that's great. That's better. And now you're not meeting somebody for nothing.
Okay, very good. So any other questions for Alex? And Alex, do you have any questions for the group?
My only question to you guys is, everybody wants to be better. I'm going to say that. Everybody on the phone wants to make more money. Everybody perceives themselves as having a hard time selling through the COVID virus to some degree. So I'd highly encourage that you let the others know that they ought to be on these calls because it's not that long. And if you get better at your game and you improve your PCs, which is your ultimate goal, then the question is, why not put in what looks to me like about 30 minutes of time? Again, our next one will build on this. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody, for
Oh,
being
wait,
on.
let me just share the last slide these are the next 2 webinars. So a month from now,
I'm going to preview the first one. Lots of times it's easier to sell if they're not having to come up with money. That means we need to find the money so they don't feel like it's more coming out of pocket. That's what that one's about. And the other one is, you're going to find that if you look at your clients, you're going to make 80% of your money from 20% of your people. And you're going to spend 80% of your time with the wrong people. So it's getting you into a place where you're spending, you're improving your sales process, you're pre-qualifying people, you're finding the money, and you're spending the time with the people where it's going to make the most impact on your PCs. That's what this is all about.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Ciao.
I will send out a recording along with some more information for you to look at. Take care. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.